Now, Elon buying into Twitter. You've got Louis C.K. just won an award at the Grammys.
Yeah.
So are we getting out of the cancel culture age, and is Bitcoin part of that?
Well, you mentioned two centralized things, Twitter and the Grammys, so I don't know if that can be considered a breakout. I would also like to remind people about a year ago, Elon did some kind of weird shit with Bitcoin. Wasn't very helpful at the time, so I don't know why people would be so excited about him fixing Twitter. ActivityPub, lots of decentralized services people are using. But podcasting, Dave Jones and I saw almost 3 years ago when Apple started deplatforming podcasts, that they were no longer a good steward of podcasting, which was always designed to be decentralized by design, and you don't need any service to be a podcaster, and they were kind of capturing that. So we created podcastindex.org, completely independent. It's also distributed. There's thousands of copies of the entire database. So that stopped the deplatforming from podcasting, as there's now 15 new apps, newpodcastapps.com. But we needed to go to the next piece, which is the financial deplatforming. I wouldn't cheer too much for Russians having their boats and planes and apartments taken away, because it's Russians today, it'll be other rich people next. And then it'll be less rich people.
Right.
So we designed value for value streaming payments on podcasting. And so you literally, while you're listening to a podcast, you can send any amount of Satoshis to that podcaster in real time, wallet to wallet, peer to peer, no middleman. We're doing about 70,000 transactions a month now. We're seeing over 1.5 million Satoshis flowing through the system a day. I would say we're well on our way to completely stopping any form of cancel culture as it comes to literal free speech in podcasting.
Right on.
Impressive. A lot of people are in this, by the way. A lot of people have been working on this.
Right, so that sounds fantastic. Now, Francis, let's talk about Cameroon, where you're from. And
Africa.
From Africa. And you've got the Bitcoin revolution is enabling all kinds of people to, I guess you could say, escape the fiat money, escape a lot of things that have been going for quite some time. Give us an update on that.
Yeah, I do believe in Bitcoin, and I think this could be a future of the finance and trading in Africa. You know, because we have we have a lot of problem of transaction of trading based on our currency, which is always backed up by some different country, European country, and
France.
Let's
just call it. Yeah,
yes,
right.
Because there's 14 countries.
They control the money, right?
Yes, there's 14 countries in Africa who doesn't have like their own currency. They just use French money. French just make their money and be the guarantee. You know, so their money is not backed up by gold, even though if it was, the thing is like you can do a transaction with gold easily. You know, you need to move to carry a gold and then travel somewhere, go to give it to somebody. This is going to be a very good thing for Africa in general, for business, financially, to help business grow there and to make things easy. Like once again, we are talking about decentralizing. You know, it's like the first time that is the only thing that you can do without nobody has a control on it, because even a goal, to carry certain amount of gold, you need certain license and this approval, all the paperwork. But with Bitcoin, as long as you have your Bitcoin in your wallet, you can send it to whoever you want, whenever you want, sitting from your couch or laying on your bed or whatever.
Right, and these countries in Africa, just to trade with each other, it's enormously difficult. And so Bitcoin allows for inter-country African trade quite easily, correct?
Yes, just to trade between this country is very difficult because they make sure, France make sure to divide those countries pretty good to conquer, you know. Like we have the Central Africa, they use franc CFA. The West Africa use franc CFA, who has the same value, but it's different money. We cannot use the same our Central Africa money.
Right.
West Africa, and West Africa cannot use their own in
the country.
Right. So every transaction has to go to to France. So it's not only centralizing one country, but it's centralizing almost the entire continent.
No one really talks about that, but it's kind of weird that France controls the money of 14 African
Yeah.
countries.
People trying to talk, but all the
okay.
time they get shut up. You know, they make.
All right. Well, meanwhile, in Europe,
You know?
the EU and the International Monetary Fund, they are struggling against Bitcoin and Bitcoin adoption. They are suggesting, Christine Lagarde was saying, it's an escape hatch. If people use Bitcoin, they won't be under the auspices of this fiat money world. But of course, that's not a bug. That's a feature. That's a good thing that we are escaping IMF and these other organizations. But Adam, this is opening up something of a culture war, because it seems like the pushback from the institutions is to double down on, I guess you could call it cultural Marxism, this kind of liberal orthodoxy where private ownership is condemned and money is essentially that of a province of the state, and we need to worship the state. Now, you've been in the culture wars for decades, going all the way back to the MTV days. Would you say that's a fair characterization? And where would you put us on that scale of getting as close as possible now to a Maoist cultural revolution, which is what we're having now in America?
I like the title of this session, Fuck You Money, because the meaning has changed. Back in the MTV days, rock and roll days, everybody got a Rolex. I got fuck you money. Today, I got money that I can send to you and no one can touch. That's real fuck you money. I got money that you can send to me and I can receive. That's fuck you money. If it's one Satoshi, it doesn't matter. Now, the next thing we need to understand...
And most importantly, money that nobody decide on the value of your money. The money that...
They can't change it overnight.
Yeah, they can't change overnight.
Right on.
The money that doesn't fear the inflation.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
He appreciates. And I think this is the best version of fuck you money.
It has always been who has the biggest audience, the most listeners, the most likes, the most followers. This is fucking irrelevant. What is relevant is the audience or community that you collect around you. And that can be a podcast. But now in Texas, we have the Beef Initiative. So we're connecting retailers and just human beings with ranchers. So, you get to know your rancher. You get your beef directly from the rancher. You pay the rancher in Bitcoin. We're doing it with vegetables. We're doing it with restaurants. So we're building networks that are meaningful, connected through Bitcoin. And so when as my example, podcasting, I don't need millions and millions of listeners. I need to pay rent. And I need to communicate with the audience and say, do you like this? What is the show worth to you? Send that value to me so I can keep going. And that's where we have to let go. Andy Warhol's dream came true, or his vision.